beforehand. But I think Maxi currently has such a large problem with the idea of these mixologists and potions that he wants to get played that 4/6 is going to have to get chewed through sooner rather than later. So he's getting as much damage into it as possible.
Yeah, I mean, the extra stats really make it quite annoying, particularly for Maxi's Mixologist, and Fury has the option here of Blob of Tar to continue to defend it, or see if he just wants to go for the Nightmare Lord Xavius, discover a minion from his deck with a Dark Gift.
Death call.
Yeah, and that is the dynamic, because this 4/6 is kind of functioning both ways right now. He can choose to go Blob of Tar to protect it and continue to be disruptive, especially as he now knows there's a Mixologist potion in hand, as well as that Dark Gift minion. He doesn't necessarily know that is another Mixologist, but he knows he's disrupting it nonetheless. But Xavius would be the more aggressive option. Just put down another 4/4 that can also hit face, potentially pick up another Dark Gifted minion that can also have improved stats, or Divine Shield Wind Fury, or something like that, and actually just start being aggressive against this small board from Maxi. But he's gone with the protection line, which I do think makes the most sense, because I think Fury appreciates just how disruptive he's being right now.
Yeah, and Maxi may be forced to answer in kind with his own Blob of Tar here while whittling through this one, but just wants to make sure to get these cleaned up. Wouldn't be surprised to see that Infested Breath maybe come down. Mana is awkward, so maybe it's just put your own Blob of Tar, hope the Poisonous can get the job done. I finally picked up on what Maxi has cut for these card differences of the Mixologist, and Maxi also has a Nomelia, which is not in Fury's list. Maxi has cut 1 Infested Breath and 1 Chill Fallen Baron.
Interesting. Yeah, Nomelia, another big Maxi card, something that he's killed people repeatedly with in Warlock. The secret win condition of the Maxi Warlock deck.
Yeah.
It does have to feel bad just to chunk this Blob of Tar into the baby blob on the other side that can immediately clear up the first half. Fury Hunter is just 1 corpse away after this trades in from being able to do something impactful with his own Pterodaxes.
Yeah, no matter what, I think it does sort of have potential to ensure that the Customs Enforcer will finally go down.
Well, you say that.
Yeah. I said barring shenanigans. But
well, shenanigans are afoot.
Anything naturally in Fury's deck, given the corpse count, like single Pterodax, wouldn't quite be good enough. But yeah, being able to present that taunt and kill the Poisonous keeps Maxi in this awkward position.
Yeah, there's a couple of good options there, because they're also from the Dark Gift. There was the choice of the 3/2 Death Rattle that gives a random bonus effect to a friendly minion on Death Rattle with charge to be able to help you clear that up as well. So a couple of good options to be able to deal with that. Fury Hunter picking up an even better one.
Shaking us stud.
Yeah, I'll be honest, a little bit surprised to see, another Mixologist come down when they're still being taxed here. Is able to clear up that taunt once again. I guess figuring, maybe there's a chance that this Leech is ignored going into the Husk turn. But yeah, that one of Chill Fallen Baron. Just chilling in Max's hand for now. What mana cost are you doing? 5?
I mean, that's the thing. There's questions about mana efficiency with this turn. But I still think it ends up being 5. You could argue trying to sneak in a 1 here, but it's still not very mana efficient. You can probably just end up pressing the hero power anyway and being absolutely fine with it. Giving yourself a 5 for either 7 or possibly 8 with the way the mana works out with this hand. Looks pretty reasonable. And you still have potentially back-to-back Pterodaxes over the next turn or two to be able to wipe all this up. Yeah, actually, no, hero power is really good. Hero power pushes 4 face here, right?
Yep.
So it's actually really good with you being able to clear up the leech, so this makes sense.
Yeah, and you know, 5's plenty of power packed into there. And Maxi, of course, is the one with the Demolition Renovator, so you can't get too greedy waiting out on a 10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was the only part that made me potentially think of a 1, because you could still get, you know, still get the Savage Roar effect, still get Raptors, which would have a nice effect on the board immediately this turn, and you're kind of playing around that Renovator to an extent, but I think you're in such a dominant tempo lead that if your opponent starts playing Renovators to deal with your locations that you've already clicked once and gained an advantage from, you're probably okay with that scenario at the moment.
Yeah, and you know, so much of this sort of tempo advantage is coming down to, you know, Maxi's inclusion of this Mixologist and Fury just landing the Customs Enforcer, right? Like, and certainly Fury has the advantage when it comes to draw, with 2 copies of Chillfallen Baron in addition to that 1 Sanguine Infestation.
Death calls.
Sure, if we had a look at the options yet. 5/5 and Savage Roar. Pretty
It's the best
good.
one. Best one for Death Knight.
More Customs Enforcer.
Yeah, now that the era of starships has passed, you know, we see a lot more locations for 5 instead of 1, but the copy is still quite important for Death Knight. And yeah, now Fury just shutting the door on those potions. Elise, that also generates a card, and Maxi, I think, not too pleased to see that outcome there.
Hey, we can both be right. If Maxi played Elise now and picked a 1, it would be a 5, and then everyone's correct. There are very few things in Hearthstone that bring me more joy than just not letting my opponent play their cards. It does make me very, very happy.
So you're a big Cult Neophyte fan, then?
I am a huge Cult Neophyte fan, actually. Yeah, even further back in the day, I was a massive Lotheb fan as well.
Oh, Lotheb. Will that card ever find its way back into core? Have to see.
You had the perfect opportunity to ask the person who knew not that long ago. I'm just saying, you could have asked the hard-hitting questions.
Well, I'll leave that to the final match of the day.
Is eternal.
No, okay. Oh yeah, I'll DM Raven right now. Get the leaks.
I'll try to avoid some people.
See if Fury can pull another good Dark Gift out of the box here. Oh, Dreadhound Handler, you don't care about the charge, but it's good enough, right? Oh,
There is a 2/2 copy Husk there, which is extremely exciting.
it is quite nice, yes.
Have but little time.
Yeah, well, and you can always just do this.
And you do have 2 Customs Enforcers. You don't have to protect both of them with your life anymore. You know?
Well, and as long as
Just
one
saying I think it
survives, you get to copy again, so...
Yup. Although, overwhelming temptation to copy one of the Husks if you end up playing that next turn as well.
Yeah, and honestly, the tax is probably just enough to make this a lethal setup, right? Given that it is the best present location for Death Knight, you could copy the charge minion of the hero power as a 5/5, Savage Roar the whole board, and that just represents far too much damage. This Shaladrisil, again, generates cards, not doing anything.
Hello.
This is the best Maxi can do.
They're untargetable as well. This is deeply illegal. You can't even point his ludicrously expensive mixologist potions at the problem.
Yeah, and I mean, and because of that, I mean, Fury may just copy a leech here, right? With the extra 2/2 Husk.
Eternal.
So wait, that deals 9 instead of. Yeah, no, that is more damage to copy a leech. Isn't it? Yeah,
World Championship in this deck.
Otherwise, let's see,
Yeah,
quick
in
maths.
deck.
You've got hero power represents 3, the copy represents 7, so that's 10, 2 from yourself, 12 plus another 7, so sets Maxi to 3. I think it's lethal if you copy the hero power, as long as there's board space to summon 1 leech. Maybe there's not quite because of the 2/2 from the husk.
Yeah, if you play the husk, your board's automatically full, right? So you won't have a problem.
Just gonna keep the tax going since, you know, it's not lethal. May as well rub it in further.
So yeah, actually forgoes the 2/2 copy of the leech
Yeah,
just in
yeah.
order to get the copy.
Right, yeah, because if
Yeah,
there
well,
wasn't
jump
board
in.
space to even copy a leech, right?
Yeah, you'd have to have done some wacky stuff. That game went off the deep end real quick from turn 3 as soon as the Customs Enforcer appeared. Good recognition from Maxi, not the biggest read in the world, but completely ruined. From Fury, completely ruined Maxi's game plan in terms of using those mixologists, particularly after Maxi picked up the 3rd one from his own Dark Gift. Ended up not being able to play anything, then picked, like, it's almost like his deck was then laughing at him because he picked up Elise, unplayable because of the locations. Then Shaladrasil, unplayable because you spent 8 mana to fill your hand with unplayable cards that didn't start in your deck. So about as straightforward a victory as Fury Hunter was going to get there. Always a big one to win a mirror in Conquest as well, especially when the lineups are as wildly different as they are here, although a little bit less so after the bans. So it does mean we are now down to the Warrior and the Shaman against the Warrior and the Rogue on Maxi's
I wanna
side.
get a cup of coffee.
I feel relatively
Microwave.
confident on Maxi's ability just to pilot Rogue to a victory, just because he is one of those outspoken Rogue lords who doesn't believe that Rogue has ever lost a game of Hearthstone unless the player piloting it has thrown horribly, as he has been commenting on throughout the World Championships in our various chats
opinion.
across multiple platforms. So that remains to be seen, but still, the comeback trail has to begin pretty soon here for Maxi, you would
You wanna
think.
see my legend rank, chat?
Yeah, I sort of feel like with these players, you sort of just assume that Rogue is going to catch a win somewhere, at least this cycle Rogue, and you know, then you
Rogue's
sort of
consistent
go from
with
there.
good decks, not win games here.
But you know, interesting. We went from
Most consistent.
a match that I cast
Yes, the
earlier
best player
today
in the
of
world.
no Death Knights to a match of 2 Death Knights.
Time passes and things change.
Where do
but
you
we've
stand
always
on
got a
sort of Death Knight versus Shaman? Although we
Yeah,
see
because it's gone up a
Fury
little
has
bit.
both.
Fury does have both, yeah.
was lower
It's just
before.
it's worth noting as well that the Warrior for Fury Hunter is the Dragon Warrior instead of the
Yes.
Quest Warrior. I'm not sure if we have addressed that in this series. It's not like the Druid is the only different deck that he has in terms of the lineup. But I personally would have had Death Knight in my lineup. I talked about this a little bit earlier. I would have had the lineup that the likes of Insane and Definition have in this tournament, which is DK, Discover Hunter, Cycle Rogue, Quest Warrior. I fought my biases as hard as possible because I can count on one hand the amount of times I've willingly played any type of control warrior in a high stakes environment. Just not my jam at all. But I do just think it ended up being too good a bring to the tournament, as we have seen throughout. I think just the power of the deck once it does survive the requisite number of turns, way too strong. But I am a Death Knight enjoyer. I do think it's the best of the bad bunch when it comes to the fourth decks. And I think it's just about holding its edge over Shaman in that fourth deck slot in terms of the conventional lineups that most of the players in this tournament have. But right on time, the Dragon Warrior looks like it is going to come out here from Fury Hunter.
Yeah, and I think, you know, had head in hands for a little bit there. Was not pleased with that opening hand. Did end up keeping the Elise just because it can be so powerful, but now finds himself minus a dragon with double Dark Rider, and I think this is a tricky situation you can find yourself in. And going up against a rogue, you need that early pressure, right? Like, you want to be presenting threats such as... Oh, we have not looked at this in a while. What's the name? Stone Carver, the 2-mana 1/4 that when it's damaged, gains power at the end of the turn. Was looking for a dragon off of this, does not find it.
Coffee a little bit.
Yeah, Stonecarver is the grand prize. If you don't have that, you want to be going like Gift Wrap Whelp into Gift Wrap Whelp, or Dark Rider Gift Wrapped Whelp, something like that with the coin on turn 1, like something high power, high utility throughout the first couple of turns, something that you could build a snowball off of. You saw here Fury Hunter in desperation coining out the spell to discover a warrior minion with a dark gift, just trying to find some sort of synergy to get the hand going. And there it is, dragon in hand, which means Fury can actually start to play some of his cards here.
But I know all these
Yeah,
decks.
and actually, Dragon Turtle might be a good pickup there with the reduced cost. Gives you some attack. He is going to have a minion with a dark gift here from the second pull. Not great hits on this one. At least for the matchup. Maybe, mutating life form can do something interesting in the face of rocks and eruptions.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think with the natural Divine Shield on it as well, pretty reasonable, especially if there is an early dubious purchase being played just to draw cards, which there absolutely is here. Maxi now picking up the EMG. You saw Maxi hold a charge of the weapon on the previous turn. Basically, that was just an assessment of the speed of his hand. He's saying my hand here is pretty slow. I'm not going to EMG on 3. So if I'm never going to EMG on 3, I want to maximize my card draw on one specific turn in the future. So the best way to do that is to hold on to charges with the weapon. So now you can see he would potentially have a better chance of getting an Everything Must Go on this turn 4 by holding on to the weapon charges. Really needs a cheap minion to drop and eat the imp on though. Does get it, okay.
Yeah, there still may not quite be enough draw to discount it. It's going to have to pull something else off the Eat the Imp that draws a card. Fury doing some counting himself and hoping it's not picked up. It's going to come down to rocks. One off.
Yeah. You saw the use of one Shadow Step there to get 6 total asteroids into the deck, maximize the chances of hitting the couple that he needed to hit the EMG. Not sure if Fury has kept count or is just waiting for the end turn button, not knowing that it costs 1. But he gets the good news, no EMG hitting the board, and I promise you that is all he was stressed about on that particular turn, because if he falls behind to that level this quickly, as Dragon Warrior, the board snowballing deck, I think he knows that that spells disaster almost immediately.
Yep. I think was, maybe looking for armor there, but getting the Roar Raptor's potential option here, not too bad either. Could also go for copy if he hopes to maybe get a copy of Mutating Life Form and just make things all kinds of awkward.
Yeah. Force of Nature Savage Roar, the classic.
Yep. Quite fortunate for Maxi to have picked up this dubious purchase. Otherwise, it was looking like a Maestra turn, which is not what you want. Or I suppose probably Tusk Phoenix, actually, if we're being honest.
Yeah, if you're playing Maestra on 5, you're in a place no one wants to be with Cycle Rogue. Fury navigated his way through a pretty slow start here, though. Now is starting to get some powerful plays.
He's like my favorite or something.
Has picked up the Sanguine Depths, but did not have it for that powerful snowballing start with the Stonecarver that you would want. The location, as we saw, will clear this up, but it doesn't really do anything particularly proactive to the board state. Might just be thinking about slamming the Mutating Life Form here, because it does interact pretty favorably with this board.
Yeah, and the thing about clearing the Phoenixes is just that they're coming back again next turn, right? So it doesn't really buy you a whole lot to remove them.
And that is both dubious purchase used now as well from Maxi, right? One early on
Yeah,
and one
yeah.
just on the previous turn. So this is going to have to be dealt with damage.
It's always, you know, not the case this time, but if you manage to land a Dark Gift of maintains enchantments on the mutating life form, that can do some silly things.
Instant Reborn then picks up Divine Shield off the first trade as well. This thing's never going to die. Okay, luck a little bit fortunate to dodge an asteroid exactly there, which could have messed up, but then the it would have prevented potentially by hitting Divine Shield the 3 attack going into clear. Now just the Reborn 1 health minion to deal with, which shouldn't be too big of a problem. Does have
be.
terrible aim with the asteroids so far.
Yep.
Continuing to have terrible aim with the asteroids. Is also not very good at 4 drops. Nope, pretty terrible. Okay, actually, well, in terms of vanilla stats, pretty terrible at 4 drops.
Now imagine if Chrono Lord destroyed summoned minions.
I didn't play the most.
Just imagine. This is a card that I really like, but gosh, do I wish it destroyed summoned minions. But no, only minions that have been played. And the only things that were played were some of these smaller things. I don't think that's necessarily naturally in the deck, or is it? Maybe it is.
In Fury's list?
Yeah.
It is. It's natural in Fury's list.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because you might look at it and think like, oh, this is a control card, but because it's the things that they just played, it's more of like, I have board and I want to keep board, right? Like, get rid of the things you just did. Could be used to clear up this Incendius.
He does have 10 HP.
In fact, that might have to be the line here, right? Is Chrono Lord to clear Incendius, Sanguine Depths to buff the 1/3 and hit into this 2/3. That might be Maxi's consideration on taking a hit here on the Tank Engineer.
Yeah, the trade I think would be really good here for Maxi. Playing around that location, as you said, and obviously weakening his own Tank Engineer is something that he will be looking to do if he can get that thing popped sooner rather than later. That makes it much, much more powerful.
Yeah, which leaves us at probably Gift Wrapped Whelp plus Chrono Lord. That, or you say, well, the upgrades from Incendius don't matter, and you know, let's try and deal with other things. Tough call.
Yeah, I think they matter a little bit too much. Though, when you're in this position where your opponent has already chucked so many asteroids into your minions, right? I think denying the maximum damage output from the Incendius is a really big deal here.
Yeah, unfortunately, you know, this Dragon Warrior is very much a snowball deck, and Fury has been on the back foot for much of it. You know, very, very admirable fight, but not the position he wants to be in. And yeah, bringing up the remaining cards there, we see that bit lucky that Maximon did not just immediately draw all of these eruptions, right? Able to get the Thalnos down for what amounts to a considerable amount of extra damage there. I think 6 extra damage.
Yeah, 6 extra immediately with 5 eruptions, 1 asteroid still left in the deck, and a second Moonstone Mauler ready to go, which is going to deal another 9 now. So yeah, dodging all of those a big deal. He's going to end up being, 3 damage over here with the weapon to play as well.
Yep.
So Fury definitely could have got away with one there with a, let's say get away with one. He was in a decent position for large parts of the game, but he could have been a little more fortunate if Maxi had hit a couple of those eruptions at the very least first. Missed out on a bit of damage. That makes it incredibly tight then on total damage going through to the end. I think Fury, like we said, did not have a snowbally hand, but played Disruption as best he could. Right, I really liked going for the mutating life form and then picking up being as disruptive as possible with that. He did roll really well with that, with his bonus effects being Reborn and then Divine Shield immediately, as well as getting Divine Shield on it in the first place. Like you said, the dream would be keeps all enchantments, because then it's just an absolute nightmare to deal with altogether, especially for deck. Like, then you're in egglock territory, being irritating for Rogue to deal with, right? But still, nice to see Maxibon get in the series. I predicted he'd pick up the win with Rogue, and he did, showing his knack and aplomb with decks like that. It's what he became known for. It's what he was known for as one of the top wild players before he came over and told us all to tread lightly in Constructed, and he's absolutely continued to do that over here, and is making another deep run into the World Championships by the looks of things. But Dragon Warrior now still up for Fury, Control Warrior still remaining for Maxibon, and then the Death Knight that we've already seen from Maxi, and the Shaman from Fury Hunter. And the Shaman is a big question for me in this lineup. Like, I've talked about this a lot. I don't necessarily believe in this lineup that Fury Hunter and Pocket have as like an effective counter lineup for the tournament. But even among all that, the fact that Shaman still made the cut and it wasn't like one of the decks that you were looking to target from other people specifically has really surprised me on top of everything else. So, as he has been known to do in the past, here is Fury's a perfect opportunity to try and prove me wrong with the Shaman.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to look for a theme between, Shaman and Dragon Warrior, it's that they both have the potential to have these huge early game sort of snowbally plays that can, get under something like a Quest Warrior. But once again, Fury not happy with the opening hand, and it doesn't get better with the pickups from the mulligan. It's always sad to see, and interesting to watch how players navigate it. But yeah, card draws not on Fury's side for this first match.
No,
let's do
this tends to look a lot like my Shaman games, and then I look on in envy as my opponents all just draw Parrot Sanctuary in every single Battlecry card and Hagatha in their deck, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's how the deck's supposed to work. But yeah, this is more often what I end up seeing. Ouch.
Rolling
Yep,
totem.
you see it from Fury. You see it from Fury, just taking a moment. It's very, very easy to just tilt off the face of the planet at this point, because these last two draws have really not worked out for him. He's put a lot of stock. He's put his entire hopes for this World Championship into this lineup, and as of right now, it is letting him down. But you cannot start thinking about that, right? Like, this is a sample of 2 games, and it's not even a full 2 games. It's 1 game and 2 turns. You can't start giving up on your decks just yet. You've got to this point. Just got to try and refocus, continue to play well, and dig yourself out of this. And Fury, as emotive as he is on camera, is generally very good at letting the emotions out, but not letting them actually affect his ability to play the game.
Yeah, and worth noting, Maxi had the package of early game that is Creature of Madness into the 3-drop. Apart from that, his whole hand says 9. Now, Fury does not know this, but if Maxi doesn't have a couple of decent draws in the near future, things could start looking grim for him as well.
Very fair.
There was a Fury Hunter playing.
And that mana cost says
Well.
100.
Rank 1 Maxibon.
It's quite hard in Hearthstone to draw a card more expensive than the 4 9-drops you already have in your hand, but Maxi has managed it.
Nomelia
You might
will
just
be...
see Fury perk up a little bit after a turn 4 pretty much hard pass from Fury Hunter. From Maxibon, sorry.
Yeah, the Nomelia will, be quite useful when it's playable on turn 6, but yeah, things may start to even out somewhat. Muradin can draw out the hammer, Frosty Decor sort of stabilize things. And,
admin. Sorry, I didn't draw a card this turn. The game client bugged. I'm afraid.
Now, it still is, yeah, I was going to say, it still is probably worth doing this, even though you would rather have gotten the card draw. Seeing Maxibon's move last turn, right? You say, okay, maybe there's just nothing to deal with this. I can protect it with Frosty Decor next turn. For now, it's going to be very, very annoying, serving as the 6/6 Wind Fury can get a lot of work done.
Marinated. Menagerie marinade.
Elise, of course, always something nice to have, but in Maxi's position with a handful of 9s, maybe just gonna have to pick up that mixologist.
Yeah, it's looking that way, right? You need something cheaper, a bit more flexible. Mixologist can even pick you up, draw a card as one of the options off the 1-cost potion. Next turn, well, the thing is, next turn you're almost certainly locked into the Nomelia anyway with the way this board's looking.
True.
Particularly if Frosty Decor comes down from Fury, which is one of the expected plays with the way that this hand has panned out so far.
Yeah, going in with his friend. Mixologist. Didn't pan out last time, but there's no customs enforcers this time around. Fury now drawing the 4th of 6 expensive spells in the deck.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder.
A heavy hand. Like a heavy hand gynecologist.
Yeah, I mean, the deck's called Hagatha Shaman, and feels bad when you draw the spells and not Hagatha.
Again.
What to do?
But, yeah, I think Fury just sort of taking some time to himself here.
I can joke about that.
There's only one play, right, and that's to play
as a
off Frosty
sport,
Decor.
Have these great giant hands and thumbs. I hope I'll become a giant
Trying to decide if there's really any decision here in terms of, with the healing totem, should he kill this 4/4?
Yeah, decides not to in the end.
Can swing with the weapon now.
About this
Sort of
budget,
little consolation.
it's questionable.
But
Doctor,
Alec here
Dr. Enos Port.
means maybe you don't need a board.
He says
Maybe you
to
just
his, doctor says
push
to
enough
him,
damage with Muradin, swing in with the
Nurse.
weapon.
Can you sort of write
But
down everything
Fury
you
wants to
do
set up
in
for
surgery?
Witchpunch Star instead.
He goes like, alright, it's time for an open chest surgery.
Yeah, the debate on the previous turn, Fury Hunter pointed the 6/6 at the 4/4 a lot, and I think it probably was Amelia he was thinking about at the time, because he can make that trade with the healing totem, and then he's still out of range of the 2 damage AoE from the Nomelia, and the healing totem positioning protects him from the cleave AoE from the Nomelia. But I think even if you showed me an Nomelia in the opponent's hand, I would want the 6 extra damage to my opponent's face, just with... I don't see another win condition with the hand that Fury has, other than just maximizing face damage and getting there with Alakir weapon and with the Wind Fury High King that he had in play. But unfortunately, Maxibon has put a pretty fast stop to that with the Blob of Tar, which is going to put up a massive wall. And now, with the Corpses and the Exarch Maladar, he's right up there with the Ziliax as well.
Yeah, and based on how this has been going, I think that Ziliax is going to be sort of shutting the door on the match, unless Fury can maybe find a counter Ziliax of his own.
No way you don't play Bishop on a star here. What the? You have a free turn
Looking
to play
for Bellhots here, I imagine. Okay, I mean, that's the perfect two. That's the perfect combination.
Exactly what I needed.
He now gets to trade through all of the poison minions and still be very, very dominant on board, but it does still enable the Ziliax play on the following turn.
You defiled.
Maxibon, of course, taking care of business first, draw first, even though there's no other card in his deck that would change the play this turn, but do it that way anyway, because
Yep,
you're a good boy.
9 is the magic number, so that's going to be double stitch giant coming down alongside the Ziliax.
Awaiting the Fury
Probably.
reaction in 3,
3,
2,
2,
1.
1.
And yep, there's 2 of them. There it is. Okay.
And yeah, without a Shutter Block tripling Murloc Growfin or Fury Zone Ziliax, this is the problem that the Shaman can run into, is his ability to deal with a board swing. And yeah, I think Fury's just going to have to resettle and say, well, fate was not in my favor that game, and hope for better draws in the next 2.
Yeah, best he's got is 188 in response to this. He has got a massive health total at the very least, or effective health total with the armor from the Frosty Decors. He's played both of them this game, so he has a little bit of time to try and find some way to stabilize, but he needs a lot of help from this position. Not even just, one top deck. We're talking about consecutive pickups here, you would imagine. There is still a Nomelia in his own deck, as well as his own Ziliax, of course, that we've been talking about, but the Nomelia is worth pointing out as well, that could potentially offer some gas, but no Wish Upon a Stars have been played yet, so that's a vanilla statted Nomelia that would be being drawn, which probably not going to have a big enough impact on these sides of boards.
And Maxi finally gets to let these potions shine. That's 1 Ziliax and 2 health to everything.
Value here.
There's just nothing really available for Shaman to do. Ziliax, would generally be the best defense, but this is just too many stats.
Yeah, a bit of finger waving going on for Fury Hunter as he tries to figure out a way out of this. But I do not think there is one. I think the best line he has is Ziliax, no attacks. Yep. Just hope that holds.
Yeah, the draws matter here.
Any
And also
weird
the
corpse
stupid giant
explosion
matter
lethal?
on here.
No, I don't think so. Your own minions dying
0
along the way
mana
will
is like good
unfortunately
amount of
ruin
mana to
that.
pay,
That bit of fun for you?
you know?
Yeah, it does have the ability to just sort of casually Acera, right?
It's doing things very thoroughly here. It doesn't have to though.
Gonna be digging for something value, right? Maxi has got less in terms of card draw, but Ziliax will do the trick. Or not Ziliax, Zephyrus will do the trick.
Any care in the world about dealing with this 8-8? I'm not sure it really matters. Alright, chooses to take the trade.
Just
being
brain
responsible.
part. Maybe I should invest in a bakery.
Yeah, were that Nomelia buffed up in some capacity, then maybe it does something. He is able to get rid of the 2 health minions. Still the best option, but
Should have traded.
yeah, it's hard to see a way out of this.
Job's done.
They're still technically alive.
Oh, Taunt Totem as well. We're so alive. No Hearthstone player has ever been this... Okay, we're dead. All right, fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Fury
No,
Hunter
that
goes
is
down
alive.
1 to 2. Couple of rough draws back to back. I mean, the Warrior draw was what it was. That was a pretty, mid-range Warrior draw, I would say. The Shaman draw, though, stunk. That was some absolute
It was
garbage.
as bad as it gets.
It's pretty much as bad as it gets, yeah. The only saving grace was coin and fives, right? Like, you could have been going first with that same hand. That would have been an absolute disaster. Or replace those fives with, you know, shutter blocks and ziliacs. That was the only real way it could have got any worse there. But that is a real low percentage hand for the Shaman, for sure. Even as a certified Shaman hater, I'm not going to try and claim victory on that one. That was a miserable experience for Fury Hunter. He finds himself now down 1-2 in the series. His compadre, Pocket Train, with the same lineup yesterday, suffered a similar fate where he went into the lower bracket immediately, had to hang out until Saturday to try and fight his way back into it. And right now, that looks like a fate that Fury Hunter might be heading toward, with only the Quest Warrior now remaining for Maxibon in this one. How are we feeling about Quest Warrior versus a Dragon Warrior and a Shaman, Edelweiss?
So, you know, I don't have particular special insights into how they came to these lineups, but just taking a look at how games have played out over the weekend and how the Quest Warrior operates. You know, we've said time and again that they do not really get functional in terms of clears until turn 5. And both the Shaman and the Warrior at least have the capacity to just pile on the damage in those first 4 turns. You know, Shaman through bird watching and Flight of the Firehawk into these copy stats minions in Grofin and Bumbling Bellhop.
Yep.
And then, yeah, the Warrior with ability to go Sanguine Depths into Stonecarver, which is probably the most snowbally turn 1 into turn 2 play just in the
Win
format.
this one, Fury Hunter.
Yeah.
I don't want to jinx anything though.
But we'll see. Fury Hunter has been a long way from those kind of hands so far, although this one is looking a lot more promising.
Somehow,
Parrot
I know,
Sanctuary
if I say-
with Flight of the Firehawk
What if
sets you
Maxibon
up
becomes
for
World
success
Championship?
with Shaman. We'll
person,
see how quickly
it's
he
gonna
can
make
start
him
to dig up
try
that
too
damage.
hard and
Maxibon
push
kept
himself
hold
too
of the
hard.
shield block to be able
so.
to cycle through as quickly as possible, as well as building up
So I
a
didn't
little
say
armor
it.
buffer for a shield slam, which is one of the few things that can be used as early
Probably
removal in
pressuring
the deck.
himself a lot already then.
Yeah, ooh. Ziliak's
There's
not
a
what you
bellhop.
want to see, but Bellhop, yep. There it is. Does have the Wish Upon a Star to activate it, but not happy to see the ramp. Makes that turn 5 happen all the sooner. Or 5 mana at any rate.
I never like to trap. I never like to trap.
Oh, there is a shield slam picked up as well. Maxi considering just
pretty
tempering
good
the
shield
hostile
slam.
invader in
I
response
mean,
to
you
this,
can't
though. I
handle this
do wonder
tempo
whether that
otherwise.
shield slam pickup changes anything for him.
Yeah, it's tricky, right? You don't have the safety goggles, and it wouldn't be active anyway. It just feels awkward to play the spells, I suppose. Maybe he's saying like, "Hey, I'm
Also
weakening these no matter
interesting-
what. I'll be able to precursory strike the other one, and you have to deal with this because otherwise I get to use the spell burst."
I get
Does
that.
not hit the other bellhop, which would have been
has Shadow Block,
delightful
holy
here
shit.
in terms of pushing extra
You're
damage
just gonna
and
win
getting
this.
potentially out of range.
True. However, Hagatha, a welcome sight, namesake of the deck,
Yes, indeed.
and
Okay,
Shutterblock.
first time is pretty good if all your minions are fucking legendaries.
Fury Hunter making the trade for
Ah.
Maxi as well, denying the spell burst, but does have to sacrifice 5 damage to do so.
Pretty good
Probably
for
the
playing
responsible
that
play.
3/5 card
You've
actually.
got to at least look at the idea of being able to go phase there.
Will you still play Ancient of Your chance?
Actually, just gonna go ahead and get this Ancient of Yore online. And I think the question
Now,
for Fury
lo-
here is Hagatha or Muradin?
I think a further question to that is location presses as well, right? Because you don't necessarily need to save mana right now, but being able to save mana multiple times with
Right.
the Shutter Block and the
He
slimes
ripped the
potentially
ball.
coming up as well.
What the
Double
fuck?
Frosty Decor, though! That is the worst
It's so
possible
frosty right
outcome
now.
for Fury in this
He's
spot.
popping up syrup.
Such a great defensive tool, an excellent tempo tool in a lot of matchups, He
Frosted,
really wanted the more high impact options.
Yeah, you know, does have one of each of those other options in hand, the Furious Fowls and the Wish Upon a Star, but with 2 draws pulling the 2 copies of
Yep.
Frosty Decor, not so much what he was looking for. You know, Shutterblock especially, you get to do that on one of
Okay,
these
wins that
spells. It
one.
can be, you know, 18 damage with Furious Fowl, or, you know, just much more from the buffs when you get to do it on Wish Upon a Star. That's sort of the jackpot.
Yeah, it's the shutter block in hand that makes that so torturous for Fury Hunter that he only hit
Well,
the Frosty
you can
Decals
do sort of
because
turbulence,
the
maybe.
impact that has on a Wish Upon the Star draw instead for the long game against Warrior is just astronomical, and he just did not get there.
Yeah. Now, he does have an
Wish Upon a
opportunity
Baguette.
here.
Or
Maxi
2
does not
frost,
have that
pretty good,
information. He could go for a fake out by just playing the Shutter Block and say,
True.
like,
Yeah.
I've got a bunch of frogs. You have to clear the frogs because otherwise I'm going to do triple Wish Upon a Star. But yeah, playing a little more safe, throwing this out, hoping for no brawl so that maybe the Muradin sticks. Actually taking time to consider. It's always a question of, like, you know, do I throw the Crocolisks in there? Frog wins out.
The froggy.
Fury cannot believe it. Like he is, to an extent, he is right, but you can see how deep down the tunnel he is now of, oh my god, everything is going against me this series.
Would you play Wish the Stern Shards?
Yeah, not a position you want to be in. And, you know, they do have Elimination Day. They do have that opportunity tomorrow to redeem themselves, but they're going to have to not have any more of these, right? Either Fury or Pocket
Yep.
on this lineup if they want
Yep.
to get it through. I mean, I almost think it's Shudder to go for the Ziliax copies pretty soon, right? Just to present a fairly massive board.
You would expect so, yeah. I think the one thing that he does have going for him now with the Frosty Decals is he has the ability to reload a lot of waves of threats against Maxi's Control Warrior. That is 1 Brawl down and 1 Hostile Invader down. So in terms of the big AoE clears, Maxi is starting to run a little bit thin, still 10 cards remaining in the deck. So Fury can make 1 big board here with the Frosty Decor. He can next turn go with the Shudder Block, try and draw something else to go along with side it, maybe utilizing the ability of that Birdhouse. Parrot Sanctuary, sorry. And then he has another huge board after that with the Ziliax because
Temple Wish.
no growth in juice yet this game to be able to get the big army of 8/8s out. So the Ziliax is what we have to do.
Yeah, meanwhile, Maxi going ahead, getting the Elise down, picks up a 5 location. And yeah, count for Ceaseless, 67. So Fury has a little bit of time before that happens, which is often sort of the straw that breaks the camel's back if you are the shaman. Need to get things done before that clock.
The straw put you in the camel's butt.
Looks like Maxi did rope out on the Fortify there.
Yep.
Would have been able to use that as a shield slam, essentially. To clear up probably the 6/6. Did not get it out there in time. And that's super relevant from his perspective as well, because he will be very fearful of Wish Upon a Star here. It's pushing an enormous amount of damage this turn.
Yeah, and I think Fury is deciding the value of this last location tick. Could just eat it up for board space to go for the Growfin plus Wish Upon a Star.
I would say probably Wish Upon a Baguette from now on. This just feels natural. It's supposed to be like this.
And yeah, that is
You
going to be the line.
you could also argue, I think, not using the location and still making the same play, like just to turn the mini Growfin into the big Growfin in your hand, right? But still sacrificing the board space. But I think overall, I do like just going max tempo here. Your opponent showed a little bit of weakness on the previous turn by not being able to clear your board, so I think go for the throat while you have that little sense of weakness.
Yeah, and crucially, you know, not only was that Fortify not being played, has dealt Maxi 8 additional damage, but it also has burned that now Crocolisk. So another 10 armor Fury doesn't have to deal with.
True.
However, Maxi gets to Time Walk here. If he wants, with the Bob.
Yeah, you got to be careful with that when they're playing a deck that can literally play the card Time Walk. I was like, wait, did I pass out for like 7 turns and he's already got the
Over the
quest
Frost
rewards in his
Nova
deck? No, we're good.
versus Elias in every deck. He said that the one time too much. What should be punished for saying this? It's so funny.
I expect no attacks going to be made. Be determining whether he could, you know, soften up the 4/7s.
Okay.
Solid
The
pick up there.
plan is beginning to come together.
What to do?
You know, of things to be available when you have your entire board frozen, being able to play High King's Hammer plus Avatar form is the best you can hope for, I think.
Yeah, there is a question of whether you still hold on to the Avatar form just in case it's something that you need to answer board with at some point. But spending the mana now certainly has to be appealing.
I'm sick and tired.
Still a good amount of damage and threat
Oh,
left
wait,
in the
a
deck
whole year
for
for
Fury.
this
Has that
Netflix
Alakir,
system
which has
come out.
already
That's
received
sometimes
1
2,
buff.
3
There's another
years.
Murloc Growfin, which will get him
One
a
Piece was so successful. Why isn't there a new season
gigantified
yet?
Murloc Growfin, Flight of the Firehawk to help tutor those cards as well, and still no Elise been played so far this game from Fury Hunter either, so he has
It's
a
a currency
lot of
Draco
potential
Rex.
damage built up still on the
Oh!
deck with the combination of all those cards.
Oh!
Yeah, and, you know, even though you'd like to use Shutter Block on the Furious Fowls or on the Wish Upon a Star, having 2 instances of being able to hit your Growfin or your Ziliax is one of the ways that you can be able to manage huge board swings that the warrior can do.
Or you
Yep,
would trade that one shot.
Of course, copy of Draco Rex, bit of a nightmare here. Yeah, honestly,
Maxi
it's
just
sort
trying
of-
to make sure all bases are covered here with the break points in terms of health on his minions, thinking about Avatar form and how that functions depending on what he attacks with.
Lacking 1
Yeah, I mean-
damage. Is it a Shadow Walk down?
The Great Draco Rex is sort of the bane of this deck, right? And an extra copy getting to
Well, can you play
Clean things up
Avatar?
even more
and Celiax?
smoothly
No, you
there.
can't.
means that Fury's now going to struggle
If
for
you play
time
Celiax
to be
now,
able to
you can
play a
have
Shutter
the 10
Block.
mana actually.
Yeah, he really is. This might just be a waiting game to try and get an Elise down with a copy, like go for a copy plus buff from Elise, like the Death Knight location as you were talking about in the Death Knight game earlier, because you still have that buffed Alakir left as well. So that represents a ton of damage alongside the damage you're able to push with the hammer.
I have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Because you can certainly just use a simple defensive Ziliax here. Your Ziliaxes are massive, even if there's only 2 of them, you still absolutely take back control of the board. Does just end up going Flight of the Firehawk, though, and drops the Shudderwalk. All right, he is going for the 2-turn swing here.
Oh, can he get these attacks in, though? Took too long to decide on that line. I think he was figuring out the probabilities. Takes the extra 5 damage face and not able to get the rush attacks in. That is just going to be lethal for Maxi. And yeah, I mean, I guess not as much
Well,
time
that sucks, man.
to stew
Fuck.
with Elimination Day being tomorrow, but Fury not going to be happy
No, you're
about
pretty
the
bad,
result there. Fair enough that things did not go well for him on some draws and things, but you can't open yourself that way.
You cannot. No, that is not something that we can tolerate at this level. Like, this is the World Championships. You gotta have your turns locked in a little bit quicker than that. There are mitigating factors. These players are obviously all playing from different regions. So in the interest of fairness, you know, if there's a player from the China server playing a player from the Europe server, it's played on whichever server is kind of equidistant from both regions. So all players are kind of playing on a slightly foreign level of ping and latency. So there will be a slightly longer delay for all of these players than what they're used to just playing on their home server. But you know that. You know that going into the tournament. You have felt that for the past hour and a bit of playing in the series. You have to be able to plan for that and mitigate that. And we've certainly seen a couple of rope outs. We saw one from Maxi just a couple of turns previous where he missed out on the For Glory on the minion, which ended up being really costly. But Fury Hunter had the catastrophic rope at the end there, trying to go for that immediate growth in with the Shutter Block, getting the mini in his hand, which would have then allowed him to go back to the well with either the Ziliax or the growth in the turn afterwards. Probably would have bought that time for the Elise then, maybe to get a location down. We could have been looking at a very, very different game. But shoulda, woulda, coulda at this point. You have to execute, and Fury Hunter did not do it. And his crime is that we're going to have to see him, his punishment for his crime is that we're going to have to see him on Saturday. He does suffer the same fate as Pocket Train. So just in Kuro, Edelweiss, with the off-the-wall lineups that has managed to make it out of day one unscathed. What do you make of all that?
Well, I mean, it seems to me that, you know, there's only one unusual deck in Kuro's lineup, and it got banned. So there you have it. That's how you do it. You get your opponent to ban the weird deck. You only have one of them. You get to play 3 normal decks. You get to play your Discover Hunter, which hardly anyone has gotten to do in this event. And that's how you get the win.
Yes, indeed. And sadly, even though Fury did get the weirdest deck in his lineup banned, it still did not work out for Fury. So he'll be back on Saturday. We're still here, though. We've got plenty more Hearthstone to go. One more series coming up. We will be back in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere, Raven. And yes, the returning Korra will be back to cast our final series of the day. Stay tuned.
Let's play a quick game then. Lightspeed not slapper. Oh.
Garrosh versus Morgul.
Victory or death!
I see you've brought. I see you've brought guests. Now, where did I put my explosives?
Then we have this smoothie with flax seeds.
Follow that fuse. You shiny.
Barrel thrown. Explosions end.
Wow, so fun playing as King Bane.
Barrel thrown. Explosions end.
All I have to do is scale past the thing. Haven't got any scaling cards yet though. Would you play Sheep Shot? We got scaling.
Let's swarm you.
Maybe Gold Metalhead should be a card.
Let's put a smile on that face.
A little bit more.
What now?
This might be worth to keep actually.
Tuned to perfection. You better watch your step in this house.
That's good for my butt cheeks.
For honor and glory and fun.
Feeling cozy?
Well, it's been fun. We got scaling, at least. I feel rich. I feel like a winner, you know?
Obviously best performing in the most master
Yay,
player's hand. It can have
Sakura!
hugely high win rates and really great consistency at the
Definitely,
very, very top levels of play. It's one of the
the,
more difficult decks to pilot, so it's no surprise we're seeing it
SJ
perform really well this
personality.
weekend.
If not,
And
but it's
you
somehow
know,
isn't
those
it?
different
Yes,
sort of
actually.
avenues throughout the game, thinking on your
I
feet
said
on
I
the
first,
fly,
right? Yeah.
makes it, I think, a really entertaining one to watch. The warrior, a little bit more straightforward. It's a quest warrior. You're trying to get to that end game state to be able to get those really powerful quest rewards. But Hunter historically has been a little bit of a difficult matchup for warriors, but I think this one maybe not quite as much. I think the Hunter can actually have some difficulty staying on board. This warrior has some really great removal tools. This Hunter is not the most aggressive in those early 4 or 5 turns, which is when you really want to take advantage of the warrior. They don't do a whole lot before turn 5. And this Hunter is not trying to be super, super proactive on board. You have the Windrunner sisters can get you on board a little bit early on, but not a ton of pressure being applied.
Yeah, that's normally the trick, right? Like you want those 3 drops especially, but you want that early game very, very quickly as Hunter because it actually activates your late game plan. But also against the Warrior, it can help just chip out that damage, right? And just try and deal with a lot of the armor generation that is there. So it's going to be super important to see how it goes. And speaking of 3 drops, as we get into game number 1, Nkuro on the top on the Hunter, Maxibon on the bottom on that Warrior, but there were options to have 2 of 3 drops available for Nkuro there, but he's gonna throw some away and just go for the Exarch here. Just get that game plan active absolutely ASAP, and there is even the Parrot Sanctuary as well to be able to start really pushing out some of these battle cries nice and quickly.
Yeah, it's an excellent starting hand for the Hunter. Anytime you're seeing Niall, there's really nothing you can't draw out of when you've got Niall on turf. I mean, your
There's
whole deck
nothing
is
you
available
can't
to you.
do.
Yeah, what
Nothing
to do
you
this
can't
real
do.
quick.
That is a very powerful card. And on Maxibon's side, we're seeing some really good removal options. He's going to be able to get those hostile invaders online. You can see the coin to Spellburst with it, but that means he'll be playing a little bit slower. He would love something to do in the next couple of turns, but that's kind of what we're talking about with the Warrior. With there's just not a ton of tools in their toolbox before turn 5. So picking up that all-you-can-eat off the top there, just to at least have something to do this turn, that's a pretty good draw.
Well,
Yeah,
one
what
of the
we can do
difficulties
now-
Warrior can run into
I can't
sometimes
really
is
think
a
of it
lack
again.
of
I have
card
to do this,
draw
Sean.
because they are forced to defend early, which means they don't have enough sort of wiggle room to be able to secure that. So that's definitely a nice pickup. Another Parrot Sanctuary coming down now, and even just having Rangari Scout and Bird Watching in hand is going to be very, very nice for the next turn or so. But going for the Mixologist now, just getting the potions locked, loaded, and ready to go. And we'll maybe it's a touch early, but with the Grifter, probably gonna look to try and fish for some pupils just to start getting them juiced.
Yeah, kind of that checklist of what does the Hunter want. Slowly but surely, we're finding them all. Rangari Scout, Niall, Grifta. There's the first Tidepool pupil. You got a tracking in hand. I mean, the question now is, at what point does Nkuro go for it? When does he pull the trigger on the Rangari Scout? Is he able to find the 6 damage with the Grifta to be able to then, push a ton of damage face? Yeah, it's sort of an embarrassment of riches at this point.
Yeah, this is going to be nice now because the tide pool was drawn and
Oh,
there's
is
a
it like a game I was
brewmaster.
playing or something?
Yeah, I was going to say these turns can be
It's split up
preloaded
game like that,
quite
you know,
early
the
now.
pawns.
And get like the heftier side of the mana spent now, ready for the Rangari Scout into tide pools.
Maybe
We
we
saw
have
it not
some
too long ago. I
afterwards,
think it was in
World
the match previous
Championships.
to the one that just happened when I was casting Nkuro. And a very similar outcome where it was just, oh, I'll just stack maximum damage super fast. That time it was the 6 damage from the Grifter. Didn't hit it the first time round, but does get another go. But this is definitely strategy number 1, right? Is just get absolute max spells and just burst the Warrior out before they can even get close to finishing that quest.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be a big pull here. Can Nkuro find damage off of his Grifta?
Let's find out.
Does
No.
not hit it. Picks up another Amulet of Strides. I mean, still tons and tons of generation here off of Rangari Scout, but I mean, Plan A is Miri plus 6 damage amulets.
Oh, sorry, I'm
It's
just
kind
looking
of going
at
out
this.
the window.
Yeah, it's just, you know what? What if everything I had cost nothing? How about
Yeah.
that?
It doesn't
How
matter
much
so
damage
much
is
when you've got 2 Incendious and everything is free.
Yeah, this is just a ton of damage coming out now. All these, of course, going into... I didn't fully keep track of the Tide Pupil, but I'm just going to say there's going to be damage in there, as well as I think the spell reduction as well.
Yeah, I think Strides is in
This
there
is
as well.
disgusting!
Yes, 2 more Rangari Scouts, Tracking still in hand, Tideful or cost reduction if he wants it, but also could just grab more damage.
Yeah, and Maxi, I think, even just did a bit of a reaction to the double freeze there, because suddenly, well, these are just chilling. There is still the spell burst on one of them, of course, but that's a 4-7-3-5 on the board. That's going to require some level of commitment to remove. And the problem is, yes, it's some damage they can push through as minions, but the Rangari Scout is also a huge threat just sitting there. So yeah, gonna call out the Brawl.
Yeah, as Maxibon, you can't assume that there's a second Rangari Scout in hand, so you have to prioritize getting rid of this Rangari Scout. The Amulet of Strides was actually not bad for Maxi. It only reduces the cost of minions in his hand, but he's got a lot of very expensive minions in hand, so not terrible, but unfortunately still not lining up perfectly on this turn. So it's going to be the Brawl. And quite a good outcome.
Yeah, about as good as it was going to get, right? Like, it just had to be committed. Did gain the armor, of course, from the Croc, so not too bad. But Inkuro could just say, okay, I'll just go again, thank you. So now it's double Scout, got track in, hero power, go again. Now there's Neri in hand as well. There's just so much potential for damage.
I can
Still
tell
those
I'm
incentives just sitting there as well.
not inflamed
The
actually.
Ranger General Sylvanas in
You're
hand.
two
I
times
don't
inflated,
believe
so
he's
should be
played
on normal
any
diet.
Oh my
area yet this game, but
Wait,
Chronic inflammation
look how
is
disgusting this is.
behind
Like,
every Western disease.
it's one of the more
It's
interesting
disease.
games I've seen.
yeah,
in
I'm
some
looking at this.
time.
Is this like
It's so nice
Sylvanas
to find like
OTK or something we're
some
going to
ginger
see?
turmeric pills, need, right? If it's on sale, 50%.
And these incentives are going to cost what, 3 each?
Huh.
No, two each by the end of this, right? Oh no, three. Yeah, just double incentives.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Flaxseeds.
Oh my!
Not so
I
bad.
love this deck.
It's just we talked a little bit about that plan A, which he obviously wanted to be able to execute on, right? He played the Grifta, he had the Brewmaster loaded up to be able to pull back the Grifta and have a second chance at hitting
Yeah.
the damage amulet. He did not find it. So this is a more unusual game plan for the Hunter, which maybe Maxi is a little bit happy about. Maybe it's going to give him a little bit more breathing room. He knows that the burst from hand isn't there in the traditional way. You know, you still can have clean shots, I suppose, but there's not actually that much damage from hand left. But the Incendious eruptions it's a lot of damage that could be coming down.
That's a lot of damage.
100%. I mean, just looking at this, there is.
It's too repetitive. I have to do something else for a few minutes.
There's what,
In
8
deck, and they all do
eruptions
3
now,
damage?
and they're double buff.
Yeah.
Like, oof. And just the damage for
That's
incendies
spooky.
just hitting face. Is this just, if they track into the right amount here, this is just lethal, right?
It could happen.
Does have the Neri and the spell now as well.
Get extra card draw if you want it. Summon minions as well.
Yeah, give your minions 2 health and
And-
draw a card.
Gotcha. Okay. Just try to keep the Incendious on the board. I mean, you're getting more procs on your spells at the end of
well,
your
it's
turn.
probably just lethal, right? Because it goes twice. It's so much damage.
13 cards in deck. You have to assume it's probably got it, right?
Yeah, it almost has to be. I think there was 8 at the start of the turn, or after that
Yeah.
first draw.
I
And
mean,
there's
he
still
did
the
still
3
chain
Sylvanas in hand.
into quite a few of them. Yeah, 0 cost Sylvanas for an extra. What's he saying on that one then? It is incredible how much they can pull together, even with a really non-traditional route to victory there. You see both the Griftas with on the 6 damage amulet. It's obviously not what he wants to see happen.
Right.
But still, like, really quick identifying that the Amulet of Strides to do cost reduction, and then just have these incredible pop-off turns with Rangari Scouts, and duplicating all of the cards that he's discovering. If you can't just go over the top and
What did I
straight up
do?
kill him with damage,
Why can't I do 2
a
things at
bunch of
once?
free
I'm a
cards is
gamer.
probably going to find you some
What?
way to get there.
Yeah, 100%.
What was
And
wrong
I
with the
think you're
match I
right.
was
I think that's
playing?
what we saw from Inkuro in the previous match as well, is just the cool, calm, collected approach. It's like he'd done that strategy 1,000 times before. It was like, oh, I whiffed on Grifter. What can I do? Hand reduction, okay. Blah, 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 blah. Next minute, there's just a handful of 0 cost cards and just so much damage available. There was still the Sylvanas in hand that was 3 of, which is, yeah, it's not millions of damage because I think they didn't play the other 2 sisters or even one of them, but still just having 3 of those, that's an extra 6 from hand as well. And it was just stacking up really quickly. And the biggest thing for me, especially coming off the last match that we saw, is Inkuro just felt comfortable. It was just sort of almost going through the motions, even though it was a bit of a unique approach to that matchup.
Yeah, really quick recognition of, okay, plan A didn't work. Let's execute on plan B. It didn't even seem like it really took him any time to try and figure out what it should have been. He knew. He's played the practice matches. He's got the experience. He knows what to do in that situation, and it played out beautifully for him.
Yeah, and I would say plan B is probably being generous. That was probably like plan X with that deck, I think, right? It's like, oh, just make your hand cost 0 and go double incendious, go. Very, very nice. But we are moving on to game number 2, and here we go. It's time for Warlock to maybe prove itself, as Incoro finally gets to play it, having it banned out. Good start, though.
Yeah, you definitely like to see the Egg Bearer on 2 into the Egg Palace on 3. I think we saw earlier today the Egg Warlock had both Egg Bearers and the Egg in like bottom 13, bottom 12 of the deck.
Yep.
Not ideal. This is much, much better.
Yeah, and there was also the matchup Gabby versus Philfield, where Gabby actually just I think Soft was talking about a lot, where when you're the warrior or the defender, I guess, as long as you can set the clears up properly, the Egg Warlock struggles to actually get through, right? As long as you can time the removals, make sure you know what eggs are going to proc when, how many sort of death rattles they have left in them, and do that, because we saw Gabby do that very, very well earlier today, where it was just, oh, the board's a bit scary now, I'll clear the eggs, and systematically proccing them and getting them cleared in what at least appeared to be the most efficient way possible. So that's something we're going to be keeping an eye on for Maxibon right now.
Yeah, the pressure is absolutely on Maxi here to execute those clears in the way he needs to. There's going to be some interesting ordering. You need to have the right understanding of, what threshold each of the eggs are at, assuming there's going to be multiple eggs on board at various stages of hatching. That's sort of Burrow's whole game plan here, is just present the messiest board with the most power that is the most difficult to clear. And we saw Gabby do it masterfully. And you see here, obviously, Maxi threw away the quest mulligan. This game for him is not about killing his opponent. It's about, I need to run him through his resources. He's going to have 3-ish waves of eggs, very likely, with the thorns, copying those death rattles. You're going to have Umbra at the end once you've gotten through sort of these first couple waves. And if Maxi can basically run Incoro out of resources, he will win the game without ever having to deal a point of damage.
Yeah, this is a pretty good start already for Incoro. I do have my egg graphic next to me to double check on the pictures, because they can be confusing. To me, that's because I'm rubbish more than anything sometimes. So yeah, this is like last egg now before the proc. So looks like there's going to be the initial push.
In the front is fleeing rapidly.
See, you would know that as someone who's very good and very involved, I imagine, in the development and artwork of these cards. I have to make extra notes.
I spent some time with the art for this card in particular. I think it turned out pretty fun.
Oh, it's a really unique card, and the fact it spawned its own deck is fantastic, right? It's not something we see too often, where there's such a sort of singular archetype with like one plan revolving around one single legendary.
Little options for Maxi here are not ideal. You can freeze the board with Bob and buy a turn, but this is
If you're gonna leap as I was doing just 2 things at once,
a little earlier than
I
Maxi would like
can't
to see
watch.
a board
It was
this
impossible.
much power.
I've seen the
Yeah,
same yesterday.
especially because there's no
Just to make
clean
sure that
way, because
the viewer
this is
thing
what's
goes down from
different
1 to
about
0.
earlier in the day when we saw
Again, for viewers.
Warlock, where there's enough power on the board to actually threaten
Well, people
lethal,
keep leaving,
but there's
to keep the
also
stream
enough
open.
death rattles left over to keep threatening it afterwards,
bait
whereas
against
in
or
previous
something.
matches earlier on today,
Baiting bread.
if 2 2020s were alive and hit, there was actually at that point enough armor to tank that for 1 turn and still then go for the removal.
it's
Maximon does not have that
too.
ability, because as you mentioned, this is relatively early and quite a strong setup from Incoro. Max is going to have to pull something out the bag. He does have a wand to pull something out the bag, or I guess the hat, I suppose, is normally how that goes. So we will have to see how this one looks. Gonna just trade the Renovator back. Does get the For Glory to keep on drawing, which is pretty nice. He gets the Renovator back again. Probably gonna trade it.
I gotta find.
No, that's cringe.
Yeah, oh look, okay, so Shield Slam, yeah, proc more,
Flankers
and
out.
then go for a Brawl, yeah. Bulwark, okay, Bulwark's useful. I don't think it's going to be useful enough because of the way this is panned out.
Get up to gain 10 more armor. 16 with goggles forward.
Yeah,
I mean, you're looking at 80 damage worth of turtles. Forward. That is what Egg Warlock can look like when it does what it's trying to do. And, you know, I think that actually it lends a lot of credence to the lineups that Kuro brought here today. Because, you know, maybe it seemed like an odd thing for his opponent to ban in the previous match, but that looked pretty scary.
Oh, what 100%, yeah. And we saw it's the huge difference, and it is one of
A
those
small side
natural
table,
outcomes,
okay.
right? If your deck is heavily reliant on almost a single card, yes, there are other cards that tutor it, of course, but if you're very reliant on this one thing, there were some games where they didn't draw them by turn 7, and it's like, well, suddenly fast forward that game where there's no eggs on the board till turn 7, 8, 9. Well, suddenly Max is just chilling, right? He's got all the armor in the world, by then drawn all the removal, but Inkuro went fast enough, set up the multiple layers because especially got the Archdruid down nice and early alongside the eggs too, and just set himself up for success there. And fair play to Maxibon, he did go for basically the only out that was possible. It might have looked like a bit of a weird play in that, oh, put more 2020s on the board, but with the wand it would have been drawn into Brawl, play the Brawl, hope for the best, and then go on from there. But wasn't meant to be, and very suddenly, Cora, there's just Rogue left for Inkuro, and as favored as someone ever is at 2-0, Rogue's been looking pretty good, at least as far as I've seen it this week. Well, say this weekend, it's Friday, this tournament so far.
Rogue would have to lose 3 games in a row here, and it's possible. It's definitely possible, but the Rogue has just been so dominant. It sort of seemed like a foregone conclusion that you don't ban away Rogue. You just let you and your opponent have it, presumably, and you pick up your wins and you go on your way. Not a position that Max is excited to be in here. I mean, which of these matchups do you think is going to be the one he wants to lead with? Well, I suppose it's going to be the Warrior again.
Yeah,
You
it's
have to get a win with it. You might as well.
Yeah, a lot of this is like mindset, because at the end of the day, it never really matters. But there are players that like to queue the hard matchup first, get it over with. Players that like to try and, you know, queue the better matchups to get some wins.
Yeah.
Maybe they think there's some kind of mental game applied to that. Regardless, though, as you said, it is going to be the Warrior. And here we go, maybe
This is fucking turn
the
1.
final game of this match. And if so, Inkuro has had a
Incredible!
very successful day.
Incredible!
Absolutely. Kudos to him bringing, you know, one of the more unusual decks in the format and getting an absolutely dominant win with it in the previous game. See if he can wrap up this series here with, you know, again, a deck that has been absolutely performing to its highest potential here. But Maxi did have a decent keep. He kept that New Heights, kept the Hostile Invader, of course, through Bid and Quest again. Don't need it. It's not how you're going to win this game.
Yeah, not too bad at all. This is going to repel the early pushes that rogues like to do, unless there's going to be some 4-drops potentially come down this turn. That's what Maxi will be hoping to avoid. But yeah, I think one of the benefits as well for a lot of these players is this rogue style has been a thing for quite a while, and it's also been a very successful archetype. So out of all these decks, especially because we've had a, you know, recent-ish balance patch, right? This rogue just plays like it plays, right? Even with some changes over the past, you know, X amount of time, these players will be very, very comfortable on the rogue, which is why you see so many people bring it, and so many people even not. It almost looks like they're not even thinking about these long, complicated turns because they're just so used to locking it in.
So incredibly impressive for a deck that is so difficult to pilot correctly. It's interesting, like you're saying, this deck is such a known quantity. It does exactly one thing, and it does it incredibly successfully. But it's not like it's a surprise to any of these players how this rogue is going to try to kill them and how it's going to get there. And still, it is so incredibly difficult to stop. We did see a warrior take a win over the Cycle Rogue earlier today in like decently dominant fashion. But
Awesome
this has
ginger.
been a pretty solid start for the rogue. We can even see a turn 5 Incendious
Turmeric.
next turn for Nkoro, and that is
Just
for
slightly help now. I can do it.
Yeah, it really is. There was also there is the two EMGs as
I
well
ruined something
available on the
stupid with my
Shadow
thoughts.
Step. So
You
Incur
can
will
believe
no
that.
doubt be looking for this Incendious, of course, as you mentioned now, nice and early, but also then going, okay, what's the follow-up? Because right now the follow-up isn't mind-blowing, right? There's not too much to do. Just needs something to kick off that card draw, and then he'll be really feeling good.
It's interesting though that Maxi has managed to stick Ham the Hungry here.
What?
Obviously, you know, best possible case scenario would have been he sticks Ham, it eats Incendious, game's over.
I'm not gonna give up.
That
Right.
didn't happen here, but you know, Maxi is able to have a little bit of breathing room, not much, but
Well, it's an odd one, isn't it? Because the Ham's stuck, but so is the Incendious now. So
Yeah,
it's like,
that's
but
the
both
thing. If-
players are winning to an extent in that sense, because neither player is really getting rid of anything. We do see the Webweaver get chomped by the Ham there, but now there's going to be a way
Holy
to
shit,
deal
you got a
with
shadow
this.
stab.
any way to get rid of the Incendious, he would be feeling much better. Unfortunately,
100%.
did not have it. Webweaver being gone, that's nice. It's one of the better targets in the deck right now, but now you're looking at 10 once buffed eruptions in the deck. Still no
Yeah.
great draw engine for Nkuro just yet, but it feels like it's only a matter of time.
And this is awful. There's still no way to kill the Incendious, so I think this has to be the double armor, and then gonna go for the draw, but if nothing, brawl, I guess.
It's like
Which is a bit of a feels bad, but you can't just Incendious is double shuffled in and procced twice. You can't just let it chill and proc a third.
well, at the very least, Incendious is off the board. That's about as good of a brawl outcome as you can.
But what did it cost us, Cora? What did it cost us? Because Nkuro must be feeling pretty comfortable right now.
I think he's sitting all right here. Dreadlich Tamsin also quite good. I think we're decently happy to see that off of our hero cards there. Not that you ever really plan on playing any of the hero cards, but
I think there's a chance in
Not
this
one of the
instance
worst
because she
options.
does draw 3 when played, right? So the card draw, weirdly enough, is what Nkuro's been not lacking. He's drawn enough cards, but none of the pop-off turns that we used to Rogue see, and especially nice and early with 2 AMGs in hand.
Yeah.
So that's something that's been missing up, getting him a little bit of armor as well. So doesn't seem terrible, but you are completely right. Normally the hero cards aren't the... It's like a rare, just if you need to pull something out of nothing, right? Sometimes it gets work done, but
a lot of
There's
armor gain in
Celiacs for
hand for
Maxi.
Maxi though. Gain a nice Celiacs.
yeah.
Quite a substantial health total. I mean, we've seen 50 go to 0 really quickly for the warrior in these matchups, but I think there's still some game to be played here.
Yeah, 100%. I think both players are in good positions to an extent, right? Which is a bit of a weird one.
Yeah,
But these
interesting.
eruptions are going to decide a lot because obviously they deal damage to face, but they also clear the board. Now Tamsin, because one eruption's happened, Tamsin will clear this board and draw. So there's more options for now the EMGs coming down this turn. So this is going to be another push from Nkuro. And one of the benefits is because of the pressure early on, because of those Incendious that were played. Maxi's used a good chunk of removal that was available. So now with the EMGs potentially coming down, there's just going to be more pressure as well. I forgot about the imps, to be honest. I forgot about the rifts. But there's even more pressure coming down. So Maxi's still on the back foot when really would have hoped that these Ziliacs would have had a decent chance at sticking this turn.
amount of pressure here possible for Nkuro. I mean, he could go cultist
Yeah,
map
it's
and
just-
just double EMG.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is
Put
just
it all
the.
on board, but
Yeah, I don't want to say all in, but all in terms of the EMGs, right? I think you just
Yeah.
slam them down and say, you've already used a brawl, you've already used some armor gain and everything. Like, yes, there's the Drake, but other than that, like, put it all down. If you play an 8-drop and pass this turn, fine. I can do other things, right?
yeah, a half measure there just didn't seem like a winning line.
Yeah. There's 50 health on the board, well, 51 health on the side of Maxibon, right? You may as well just chuck it all down.
Thrown out 3 or so eruptions already.
Yeah, there are currently 8 eruptions left in the deck for Inkuro.
Okay,
And 3 asteroids, of course.
gotcha.
No. But I'm getting a
Still
fucking
got
bunch
the
of
Blood Mage
fucking armor.
Thanos in the deck
It's
as
good against
well,
that.
which is
You won't probably suck and roll with this deck.
dramatically increase the damage, right? You think like, oh well, it's just +1 spell damage. How much can that do? And then you realize, well, when there's like 12 cards in the deck that do spells, like spell damage, suddenly that's a reasonable chunk of extra damage. And
What
Maxi
actually
just
gonna do here? The Draco Rex is good, but it's not quite enough to full clear.
yeah, it would have to be like that plus shield slam, right? Which just feels bad.
Awkward. But I am still a little bit surprised. I mean, I guess the all you can eat was guaranteed the hostile invader there.
Yeah, I think it did. Yeah.
A little bit of
Eating up 8 on board
nice-
is still a little scary.
Yeah, a
That's
little
one of the
bonus
damage that
damage
I'm
there
gonna
for Inkuro. I think Inkuro
3
would
and
have obviously
0
been happy if
my
just
bad
everything
face,
lived,
so
of
bad
course.
player.
But even
It's
just
like
having
a
this damage and
brawl
his
or
minions still
something,
stick
then you
around for some extra
0
push on the
3 him.
armor. Any extra damage
3
just
0
makes
him.
all these eruptions and everything even stronger, right? But Maxi's still got a good chunk of health. And that was a few of those eruptions again with no spell damage.
Invader clears up most.
I went to this
that round, but
his chat afterwards, and I said like,
a lot of
how
cards
does it
here.
feel to be how do you know somebody's
Somehow found
easy?
those
I
cards.
said.
Love to be getting spectral
What's the right thing to say?
eruptions and asteroids.
Yeah, and I think one of the problems as well is there's just oh sorry, yeah, there's this Mauler and there's Shadow Step and there's Thalnos. So
Yeah.
a little bit late. I think there's 3 eruptions and now 4 asteroids. Obviously with the Shadow Step there can be some more. So there's still a decent chunk of damage. But is it going to be enough? Still weapon in hand as well for a little bit more. Not this turn, of course, but
Maxi,
soon.
Maxi's got the bulwark. He's got a shield block. Cannot play bulwark with. Oh no, he did play New Horse's game, right? He
Spider
should be going
Phoenix
to
seems
11.
pretty good.
Yeah, max man is 13 right now.
Okay.
And there's just one more
But
asteroid.
that's just, I mean, that's just.
Clenchingly close.
Look how quickly he went from what, like
Yeah.
45-ish to 6,
I think that's everything.
and that's every card.
Yeah,
in
that's
there.
No.
everything, okay. Oh, and there's there's also the shield block Drake. But I think Brawl plus the Bulwark is probably going to be the play here.
HP goggles. Well, you can't play it with the bulwark, but I mean, Nkuro can shuffle some more
Yeah,
Felrix into
there
his
we
deck,
go.
but then he draws fatigue. The damage just isn't there, and that was a single
But
asteroid
the skin
away
is
from
teeth.
winning
But
the
the
game
slap of his
and
spaghetti toast in my soup.
winning the entire series 3-0. I mean, look at how close that was.
Yeah, and look at the difference. Like we touched on it before, but if the Thalnos was available earlier, then potentially the turns happen. The turn where he decides to draw all the cards, right? Draw the deck and do everything. If that happened a little bit earlier, and the Thalnos could have hit a couple more of those, whether the asteroids or the eruptions, then suddenly that's lethal, right? In that way, like you see how just you get so close, just a few damage off. That can stack up really quickly if you can do it with the Thalnos on board. You obviously don't always get the choice, and I think Maxibon did a really good job of working out how and when to use that removal and having just enough armor. Because as you can see, the rogue has not a set number they can do, but within any given game, there's a sort of fixed number a lot of the time. And if you can just do one step past that, they often they're done, which is why you see the instant concede there. So good effort there from Inkuro, but Maxibon is going to be hanging on. So the warrior's gone, but there's now still the rogue and the DK, which arguably might be a little bit more easier matchups, even though one is the mirror.
Looks like we're going to be going for the Death Knight first, though. Death Knight definitely doesn't have the ability to get out of range quite like the warrior does. You do have the leeches, which if you can stick them, you can increase your max health a little bit, a decent amount at times, but it's not quite as much as the warrior can. So I mean, how is Maxi trying to navigate this one?
Yeah, I think Maxi wants to get off to one of the more aggressive DK starts. Mixologist is definitely going to be a useful tool, not something you see in every Death Knight whatsoever. But having access to Mixologist, and if you can get the AoE damage potion, it's almost in there to deal with rogue openings, right? So that's going to be a huge deal. And then anything he can possibly do to get those corpses up and used, so he can use his Pterodax and get the giant down early. But I feel like from what I've seen, especially this weekend, is a lot of it is just you don't want to take the early damage from the rogue pushes that you can see happening right now as Inkuro starts to drop these minions, because even these little things chipping away, as you mentioned, the Death Knight can't go to like 80, 90 health, right? It just doesn't exist anymore because no one's playing Starship shenanigans and things like that. But because of that, Maxi will be, okay, hits the deal 2, which is almost certainly going to be the pick.
The Death Knight has the potential for really successful counter pressure here that the rogue pretty much can't deal with outside of a sequence of eruptions or like well-timed dubious purchases. But you need to be able to get to the point where you've spent 9 corpses, you have multiple Stitch Giants, and with this much pressure on turn 2, you've already taken 7 damage. It's a lot you're facing down. Fortunately, like you said, though, we did get that 1 mana potion to deal 2 damage. We can follow it up with Leech if we'd like to.
Oh, he's going to hold off and use hero power. Just get rid of the Web Weaver. This does deal with half the board to an extent, and arguably the scariest part of the board, which would be the Web Weaver. So holding on to the potion there for this, I guess, second push, so to speak. But you could just see how clutch this potion is. Maxi knowing there's basically access to an AoE that most DKs don't really have.
We are just a single corpse off from being able to play that Pterodax, and that feels pretty bad.
Yeah. Well, now there's also the tricky scenario where outside of the Pterodax, you then think, well, if this board's being cleared, next turn there is Exarch in hand, but obviously nowhere near the corpses to do anything with. But then you start to think, hang on a minute, what if I hang on to corpses, right? And suddenly, because if you can play Maladar and Ziliax, that's like game-winning potential right there.
Yeah. What can you do with Exarch Maladar, but how do you get...
Right. And it's going to be difficult with the Pterodax in hand.
You didn't pick up the 1/1 tokens
because we
There's
know.
not enough fodder.
Right.
What if you get value from it? If you actually trade the minions
Roll
well with
with
it, you might not at all for
Usual
some
1
reason.
million
It's pro
cards in
players who
hand
make stupid
for,
mistakes.
for Rogue. This is normally
Because
what you
if
want
that
to do.
atmosphere in your
work out
hand can be
what
something
this choice
you
is
can
gonna be.
discard.
Yeah, having access to Mauler looking pretty good.
Rot number 802, welcome to the collection.
Our manager is going to unlock the coin for a turn 6 Incendious. Which is going
Pretty
to be
solid follow-up for the
pretty nice.
Incendious there. Also got the Blood Mage Alnos really early this game. I mean, this is a solid husk. But the
And this is
follow-up
the
turns
tricky
for
part.
Inkuro are gonna be strong.
Okay, Maxi is going to play the Pterodax. Okay. So you are just staring at Maldar going, But I like this. Just get maximum health, and
Yeah.
this defends the leeches, right? Which is the way he can actually overgain health, which is really important.
He would have loved to try and wait it out there, play a little bit greedy, and get, you know, a really strong turn from Maladar, spend corpses, get the Stitch Giant down. I mean, it would be a board that would be very difficult for Rogue to overcome. But he weighed the options, and in the short term, it just puts him in too risky of a position. Plus, you're right. Now he gets to try and protect these leeches. They're, you know, stealing a not inconsequential amount of health every turn with the Husk still on the board.
Yeah, do you even like the Nomelia?
I like this Shard
Just to clear it
Russell
off
with
and
like
keep
Starfight, this
everything,
one's starting to get hit.
healthy on board.
Guess what are the odds of keeping the Husk around for another turn realistically after this?
I guess, yeah. Yeah, Leech is going to do a good job of cleaning that up anyway.
The Husket, I mean, Husket 1 versus Husket 3. No, Eruption kills it at 1, doesn't kill it at 3, but getting the Giant down is really nice.
That is, yeah, very true. I'm just always greedy. I always think, but my leeches could do
know.
more. And then
I know,
they could
and
do
the-
more than more. You know, and I just want to see how big the number goes. That's how I play.
Oh, of course. And the Nomelia at this point of the game, like, Nomelia is still really good. You're likely to see an everything must go turn in here somewhere. And so maybe that's what Maxi's thinking. Like, he needs some sort of middling wide board removal, and the Nomelia is his best option. Another Husk pickup off the top, though. That's quite good.
That is
And
very
now we're
nice,
actually
yeah.
starting to push some really relevant damage back on him.
Yeah, and there's just a decent chunk of health on board as well, so soaking up these asteroids potentially is going to be a problem. But let's see what Inkuro's going to get done with this turn, because when the Thalnos goes down, I pay attention.
Time for fireworks.
Yeah. Gonna want these eruptions to get some work done. There's 4 left in the deck.
Maxi at 40. It's a pretty good health total for a Death Knight at this stage of the game. We did just see how quickly, as a warrior, he went from 45-ish down to 3. There were
Yeah,
10
this-
eruptions
this-
in that game.
Yeah, there's still a Shadow Step in the deck as well, so now that the eruptions are going to clear off the minions, then the asteroids can get some work done along with the Shadow Step. So this is basically
This
Should have
is
another
all the
spell
damage that's going to happen.
Guy, maybe. How about
Oh,
what do you think
nice.
As long
about
as
that
the
guy?
rope doesn't mess with us too much.
I think Inkuro's, he's been taking his actions quite quickly.
Yeah, generally speaking as well, the player themselves is always ahead of us because they can lock in the actions faster than the spectator can actually keep up with them. So we'll see how this one comes out. I'll be honest, I have not done the maths as to whether this is... Normally this is when someone like Sottle just shouts, "It's lethal" to me because he's already sat and counted it. I haven't, but this
this
is a
is
lot
when,
of damage with the Shadow Steps.
This is when I'm so happy that nowadays I can just sit back and go, watch them at work. Let's see how a master does it.
Oh wait, yeah, sorry, yeah, didn't replay, so not going to draw the extras, okay.
Yeah. Wonder if maybe there wasn't
You defile
enough
the
time?
dead. Join them.
After the Astera awakened.
Almost out of cards. I'm out of cards.
Yeah, that's gonna be. Yeah, I was gonna
That's
say
gonna
that's
do
gonna
it.
be enough, right? Yeah, because I was gonna
I
say
think it's
even if
gonna
it
call
wasn't
back
the extra,
to a 2-3,
the
I
additional
think.
draw, because that was the draw from
Or a
Thalnos,
3-2.
right? Even if it wasn't
Yeah.
the original draw, then he couldn't have played anything anyway, right? Because then the asteroid draws would then draw more, and then that does it anyway. So really good one there from Maxi again. Inkuro got relatively close, but I just think those turns with the leeches, getting those down, keeping that board clear, having that potion from the mixologist available, game 4 armor, deal 2 AoE damage, was huge, right? And that's something that you don't always have access to early in the game like that as Death Knight. Normally you are reliant on those early, 1 drops, 2 drops to actually try and fight back against the rogue and stop some of that early push damage. So I think Maxi again did a fantastic job at just keeping Nkuro at bay, right? Doing just enough to make it work.
Yeah, prioritizing keeping the Hideous Husk on board for that additional turn, and then obviously a fortunate draw to draw into the second Husk while you still have a leech on board and be able to get 6 more health off of that. There was some good draws in there, but also just really well identified from Maxi that at that point of the game, there was still a very real possibility that even though the Death Knight doesn't usually get up to super high levels of health, not like the warrior can with armor, that he was still in a pretty good position to try and take as much as he can and to be able to outlast in that eventuality where a bunch of damage is coming face. And it was still very close, but we were just a short time ago looking at a 2-0, potentially 3-0 victory for Nkuro, and now we're going to game number 5, and it's a rogue mirror. So one of these rogues will win.
And an exact mirror as well, card for card. So this is about as close as it's gonna get, and this is where things can get very explosive very quickly, because both players, of course, just wanting to do the same thing, just doing it a little bit faster. So I'll see how this one goes out. Looking at the opening hands, Nkuro obviously going first, being able to get the 2-1 down. Does have Platisol as well, so does start potentially getting that early, not only board presence, but also card draw, which could be huge. Maxi choosing to wait, because obviously if you play Platisol now, unlikely to be able to play the card drawn, and then the 2-1 just clears it up.
Very good draw for Platosaur. For Nkuro, they're getting something he can play right away, just apply additional pressure on board. Crystal Tusk can't outright kill the Platosaur and then discard the card from hand. There was like a non-zero chance there where the Platosaur draws the Incendius. Maxibon plays the Tusk, kills the Platosaur. Incendius is gone, game's kinda over.
Yeah.
But those are the risks that you have to take,
because
Nkuro he's in the driver's seat right now, and he wants to stay ahead. It's a very calculated risk.
Oh yeah, you accept that. If you're not willing to accept that, you don't play the Platisol, right? You just don't play the card in the deck, right? So yeah, 100% correct. Maxibon is going to get some work done now, as this weapon will proc if he wants it to with the swing, or he could just hold off a second while he's managed for the Dubious purchase as well. Try to get that extra draw. Nkuro definitely slowed down a lot now that early push has been dealt with.
Doesn't have a bunch of cards from hand that he can throw out to get the Phoenix on board, but Maxi doesn't have the Incendius yet. So this is interesting. I would say that the starts for both players have been a little bit slower than we've seen some of the rogues this weekend. Not bad. Certainly they've had things to do, but it's not been the full explosive first couple turns that you can see from the rogue.
Yeah, you've not seen the turn 3 EMG or anything, right? Or like, anything like that, the super early stuff. Both players kind of keeping it even for now. Maxi, though, does have access to a pretty good turn, especially depending on how this Eat the Imps goes on this Wisp, because this EMG is already active, but obviously the cheaper you make it, the better. Another prep picked up. Okay, yeah, this is a... Oh,
and he did find the second one.
Yeah, this is a huge turn, because suddenly it's going to be on Nkuro to actually just stop these 4 drops.
Depending on the 4 drops that you hit, you could just kill your opponent with 4 drops.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
4 sevens are pretty good.
Oh, no, we'll watch it.
Okay.
Actually, 4 sevens are interesting here. 4 sevens burn your own cards.
But they're 4 sevens.
We'll see what happens. But they're 4 sevens. I mean, those are CCG's not bad.
Just playing zoo at this point, Cora. It's just like get everything down and just go.
Priest's worst nightmare. Look at all those 4-attack minions, Raven. Oh my goodness.
Oof,
I mean,
can tell you've not casted for a while, Cora. If we're going back to the 4 attack.
Priest, lol. Oh my goodness. This is a huge board. This is a really intimidating board for Nkuro face down. He can Dubious Purchase and kill something, but it might be a 1/2.
Like this eventuality.
I mean, best case here, he's able to build up his own everything must go board.
Oh, twin slice as well. Not terrible for Maxivon there.
Rep into the
More
EMF.
damage. More damage.
These EMGs are 3 MGs.
Hey. Okay, not quite 4/7s. Ooh.
We're just obviously
Not
not
as good, were they? Yeah, they were fine.
But it is 2 taunts that Max is going to have to get through. I don't think he's going to have that tough a time doing it.
No, the twin slice is pretty nice. As the O manager, there's now just a picked up dubious purchase as well.
Shadow Manager can go face.
Yeah, spell damage on that as well is going to be really nice to make that removal pretty clean. Not necessarily having to sacrifice any of these minions now, because if he wants the Phoenix could trade in, or just going to use the slice, I guess.
Might as well protect health on your minions. You saw it was
100%.
difficult enough for Inkuro to be able to clear that last turn. He's actually going to take a trade onto the Tormentor.
It's going to be really scary for Inkuro though, because there's obviously now another 2/3 on the board, which is why I probably went for the trade, right? Because it duplicates at the end of the turn, but also just has at worst the second slice, wisp, dubious purchase to just draw cards and hit any removal if there's anything truly annoying that pops up. But then again, at this point, what could Inkuro actually even play minion wise to cause a problem? Not really anything left.
Oh, nothing defensive in any nature in the deck. Both the EMGs are gone. Nothing off of Maestra that you can pick up that's going to be cheap enough to play.
Yeah, this might be all in on
Insidious
just
down this
Mauler
turn.
getting stuff done. Just all the asteroids.
The breakpoints are a little weird right now, especially because he doesn't have the Thalnos on board, but
Yeah.
it can certainly do something here.
Oh, has another shadow step. Okay.
Okay.
Hold. Are you telling me there's actually a chance?
So you're saying there's a chance.
How many asteroids? At 9 in the deck right now. Can of course
A 12
replay the
card
Mauler
deck.
for more.
And when those Watchers die, they're going to burn 6 cards for Maxi?
Yeah, there's no manager for one. Just Inkuro making sure that at least one goes down. Want to cause as much havoc as possible. Wow, what a response here from Inkuro. Even if this doesn't end up ultimately working, what a turn when you're facing down that kind of pressure.
It's of course a little bit... I wouldn't even say it's unfortunate. It's a little weird that you don't want your asteroids going face here, but
Yeah.
now we're finding ourselves in a situation where Inkuro's got a pretty substantial board on the other side that Maxi needs to be a little bit
Yeah.
cautious about.
And all of this, of course, happening before either player can actually get to their Incendius.
It's only turn
So,
6.
like, yeah, that's it. So there's the wars have already happened at this point. Incendius is going to be rocking up a little bit late, but it does mean that all of the cards that it's going to shuffle in are basically going to instantly get drawn and go, right? So this is really coming down to the wire for both players here. And the problem is, Inkuro is going to get to do the thing first.
Yeah, he gets to play the Incendius first. He gets to draw on the following turn first as well.
So Maxi has to just do everything humanly possible to threaten lethal, to say you cannot just play Incendius and pass this next turn.
How much do we have to throw face to be able to win on board next turn?
Well, these
We're
are
getting
gonna
another
duplicate,
2/3.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So these are still looking quite good. Yeah. This is looking pretty good. 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah. There's a hold. Hang on.
Asteroid.
We need to check
That's a
these
good
out first.
asteroid.
Oh my.
That's a very good asteroid.
Almost out of cards.
It's the last card still no.
Oh wait, there's Incendius. Can you just Incendius coin Platysaur? Is that the best ways?
The last card in deck an asteroid, or is
Well,
it?
that's no, that's
Yes,
work.
sorry, yes, it is an asteroid.
It
Apologies.
is an asteroid. Okay.
Yes,
Okay,
it's
it
one
works.
asteroid in the deck now.
So if you Incendious coin Platysaur, you have 5 damage of eruptions and 1
Maxi
asteroid.
versus Curry in Caron. Honest mistake.
Oh, this is tricky.
Yeah, it clears board, but like,
And the thing is, if
Huh.
it clears board, does just
This
having
is
it
Baguette
with a
tight.
weapon next turn as well.
yeah, from what
Right,
we can
and-
see, like his follow-up is not bad.
Because it also means Maxi is unlikely to be able to just play his own Incendious in response because it's 7 mana, it's not getting coins. He would need
Which means-
Incendious
Which means then in Kuro
Which he
is
doesn't have prep.
fatiguing, but I mean, I guess what does he do in follow-up? He plays
weapon go face.
weapon go face, yeah.
Is he just gonna trade pass and go for let the buff happen
gonna pass.
and just push the extra
So
damage?
that the
next
buff
turn?
has
like-
that's interesting.
It's probably the safer play, but also nothing feels
I'll be
really
honest.
safe at this point when you're at 10.
Yeah, I don't even know what safe means anymore in this matchup
Yeah.
because like this is just really
This
on the
one's
knife's
gone
edge.
a little weird. Actually, it's another 2-1, but now, I mean, now this is 10 damage of eruptions and an asteroid. Then he's just got 2 on board with Incendious, 2 with the Tusk.
I'm almost out of cards. I'm out of cards.
Oh, the asteroid goes to the minion though.
The fucking
Unless-
corpse minion.
Yeah, unless I'm missing something. I think that's just it for Maxi, right? There are no
I think
heroes that are
that's
gonna dig him
just
out.
it.
I can't see anything unless I can't see any way of getting out of this. There's already fatigue damage. Well, there won't be fatigue damage with that now, with the weapon, but it's just so likely now that Maxi just does the thing, right? It just has the explosions.
The 2 everything must go made it so that Ikuro had to chunk through so many of his asteroids just to clear the board. And then the
Yeah.
Willful Watchers both died and both triggered on the same turn. But Maxi drew his Incendious off of the Thalnos that was on his board before the Watcher's Death Rattles triggered and burned 6 cards in his deck. What a wacky rogue mirror. But against all odds, Ikuro was up 2-0, had to win a single game with the rogue, and Maxi has come back to defeat the rogue 3 games in a row and take this series. That is
Yeah,
so
what-
impressive.
What a great match, honestly. I think 2 players who have played extremely well in the games we've saw just today on stream. Obviously, their first matches were today.
J'adore le fried chicken,
Have
I
done
said.
very, very well. Super close matchups. Again, Ikuro, as you said, was looking good to make it, especially with the Warlock looking so dominant in that game. It just rocked up, played 1 game and won. Job done. Hunter looking fantastic as well. But the matchup for me is one of those perfect matches, especially to cast, right? Because we go all the way to the last game. The last game is very close. Both great players getting the work done. So yeah, huge congratulations to Maxi. But of course, Ikuro is not out either, because although this is our last match for the day, all of these decider matches and these elimination matches, are going to be done tomorrow, so we can get to our top 8 on Sunday. So very, very excited for that. Just so in case anyone's joined us recently, none of the players are actually knocked out yet. So if there's anyone you're going to cheer for, make sure to tune in tomorrow for that as well. But what have you made of this group, Cora? And I guess the tournament so far overall?
I think that this group, there were some really high highs and there were some really low lows. And I want to see the redemption.
It's good to see you again.
see that title there? It's Reno. Kickshot isn't watching, so they're doing two things at once.